Hello and welcome to our podcast. My name is Natasha.
And my name's Lauren.
Join us as we discuss all things Neighbours.
And it's unfinished business.
Hello, thank you for joining us for yet another episode.
I actually can't believe we're on episode 7. Like, the time is literally flying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Did you want to tell everyone what we have lined up for this episode? Obviously, we'll get on to discussing the new episodes in a moment, but we have something special for the second half, don't we, Lauren?
Yes, we do. We certainly do. And we are very, very excited about having a very special guest join us on the show today. I mean, you might have seen her pop up in a few episodes recently in the last 2 weeks. We are thrilled, absolutely thrilled, to be interviewing Summer Hoyland, played by the lovely Jordy Lucas.
So exciting. Can't wait for that. Well, listeners, please do stick around for that. First, we're going to discuss the new episodes. So, Lauren, what do you think about the new episodes this fortnight?
I mean, obviously, it's been very, very heavily focused on the old protest this week, hasn't it? And the whole issue with the school, etc. So I was like thinking earlier, I was like, oh, I really should have just done a full-on binge to get it in my head, because I feel like I've almost forgotten what happened in that first week. But of course, you know me, I make notes, so I do have. So first thing I wanted to mention was like the whole Byron really wanting to go to America, because obviously Reese has now left, and obviously Chloe not being convinced by the fact that Reese is going to come back, and him obviously being very put out by the fact that, you know, she called Chloe first and not him to obviously update on the fact that her dad had died. So I mean, is Reese not coming back now? Like, has she left?
That is a question, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm assuming if she isn't coming back, then there's going to be some sort of like, oh, you know, sorry, Byron, I'm not, you know, coming back or whatever. So, which is sad for him, because they were
To be
like, oh,
honest,
like,
if you look at the credits, he's next to Krista. So I reckon there's going to be some kind of romance. He's going to go from sister to sister, because, you know, that does happen in Neighbours. So I think that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be setting that up. And then maybe she might come back for a couple of episodes and be like, what are you doing? Have you forgotten me, Byron?
yeah,
And then there'll be a whole drama about that.
yeah,
Potentially.
yeah, maybe, yeah. Anyway, because you were saying you're bored of Reese and Byron last week, so we just kind of have to just be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Over it now. Over it now. Move it on. Oh, this thing, Toadie being like, Nell is 15. How is she suddenly 15?
I mean, we kind of accepted that there was a little bit of a jump of a couple of years, but
Like,
we thought she was like 13, max 14, 15.
oh, like, she does, like, I don't even think she looked 15.
No.
She could pass for a 13, early 14-year-old, but by 15, you're starting to develop a little bit more and become a woman.
Yeah.
Do you not think? I mean, that's what I was like when I was at school.
let's look at like people like Ben, Xanthi, like Piper. Like when they kind of started, they were kind of that age, 15, 16. She's no way on. Maybe she's a late developer, I don't know, but there is no way. No.
Honestly, yeah. Like, and that whole situation with like Toadie trying to like butter Therese up, because he clearly, you know, is still having some sort of feelings for Mel, feeling a little bit uncomfortable because Nell's like, oh, I want to give, you know, Mel this care package or whatever, and Toad, and, you know, and helping her out with legal aid as well. Oh yeah, it's okay, I'll help you out with legal aid.
Yeah, it's
But, you
already
know,
started, isn't it?
I'm doing it for Nell's sake. But are you really doing it for Nell's sake? Because there's the whole thing of Paul. What did he say? He was just like, oh, you protest too much or something about your love for Toadie.
He said to Therese, you know, who are you trying to convince? Because all she keeps going on about is, I love Toadie so much. I love Toadie so much. And then he goes, well, who are you trying to convince? Me or you? So yeah, no, it's already cracked the starting to show. But I knew that Toadie would be the weaker one out of the two of them. I think Therese is quite stubborn.
Yeah.
So she would still continue with that, no, I don't feel that way about you, Paul, till the death. That's their relationship.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
Jodie has too many heartstrings. And it's already showing. It showed straight away
Mm,
once when Mel returned. So be interesting to
yeah.
see what happens. We've also got a Christmas Day episode coming up, which we've
Exciting.
yeah, so that's exciting. So yeah, I mean, maybe we should do next week. We should do a prediction for the Christmas Day
I mean,
episode.
there has been talk on some of the other things about it potentially being an affair at Christmas,
That
either
would be good.
Toadie or Mel or Paul or Therese.
It would definitely be. I reckon it would definitely be Toadie and Mel.
Do
The
you?
feelings are too strong. I think, I don't know. I just feel like, especially with Nell could get
Mm,
involved with little bit of meddling, like a little bit of emotional blackmail, trying to get them
yeah.
together and be in situations where they're together. She might end up getting herself in trouble just to get them both together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know. Something
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. No, definitely. What's the other thing? Oh, when Nicolette is meeting up with Paul and they're still playing games together, like the fact that Nicolette's been secretly sending him like pictures of Isla, but then, there's some sort of secret with her and the reason why her and Kiri really split up, not the fact that they wanted to, you know, they couldn't tell them about all the stuff that was going on. Like, still some sort of something there with Paul and Nicolette, and I'm like, what is it?
Yeah, but then also you've got Chloe sneaking around
Oh,
in
yeah, I
question
was
over
literally
Ellie as
gonna
well. So I'm like, will that be an affair? Because I'd love that. You know, Nicolette's not the most perfect person for Chloe. However, as maybe
no,
the
and
listeners don't know how anti Ellie I am, she's better than Ellie. So
and that was my thing. It was I didn't overly love Nicolette and Chloe's relationship,
mhm,
and but then seeing them together recently,
mhm,
I'm like, oh, they could be
yeah,
actually really good together. I
yeah,
don't know if it's because the actress has
mhm,
changed that plays Nicolette. But yeah, I thought that when they were having their, she goes, oh, we did used to be engaged. And I was like, oh yeah, they did, didn't they? Like I almost forgot. And then I was like, actually, they would work quite well together. But obviously the whole thing with Chloe is probably to do with the Huntingtons because she's seen obviously going to the doctors, isn't she? Um, yeah, and there's speculation over maybe Ellie and Chloe are getting married. And it's like, but why would that be such a big secret? Like it's a bit of a weird
I
thing.
mean, I
But
don't really care about
you're
that.
indifferent. You're like, I don't care, whatever. Like, we love Chloe, we love Chloe, we love April who plays Chloe, but like Ellie just can like, yeah, like do one. The David like situation with him obviously being really awkward about the fact that he's obviously not a doctor anymore and then coming back and being the savior for Krista and now being her sober companion, etc., which is obviously the reason they're now kind of like moving back. um I really liked seeing the tension between David and Aaron. I thought it was because we haven't seen, like, they're all very like lovey-dovey or like boo boo and stuff like that, aren't they, a lot of the time. It was nice to see something like come between them, I
I
suppose.
mean, it's funny you say that because you think that they're so loved up as a couple, but when you actually watch the old episodes back, you realise that actually they're arguing a lot of the time.
I mean, there's still
Um,
quite a few old episodes that I need to catch up on. I'm still only
yeah,
on
no,
2019.
they're always arguing.
Are they?
I think the reason why they're a strong couple, it's very kind of Kennedy vibes in the sense that they always make it through, and they
Mm,
always make it through and they're stronger for it. So I
mhm.
think there's no way that they're boo boo lovey dovey all the time. Um, but I guess yeah, they're doing that now. I mean, it's a shame about David and Paul as well.
Mm,
That relationship is so fractured. But to be honest, I don't really blame David.
no.
Um, I mean, if you had a parent that you they weren't in your life for that long,
Yeah.
only a few years, and they cause that much havoc and stress in your life. I mean, you would want to boundary that up. But obviously, as we know, soaps are soaps, and that was probably not going to last forever, especially with grandkids
Yeah.
involved as well.
I
So,
do think Leo's finally starting to see it a little bit. Like, I feel like as much as he's there for Paul, he's actually starting to get a little bit frustrated with him as
mhm,
well.
mhm.
Like, he was definitely frustrated with him, sort of like, not this week, the week before, being like, for goodness sake, like, you know, what are you doing, kind of thing. So, um, yeah, Leo's getting a little bit more involved, bringing Leo into the equation a little bit more
Yeah, I
finally.
mean, still not enough. Like, I think he's just been
What
having
is
a lot of like work or holidays and stuff. I mean, I don't know when he was coming over in September for the thing
Yeah,
and when that filming would have been, but that was over ages ago. And then I think he went around Europe after that, didn't he?
yeah.
So I think he had quite a bit of
I
time
mean,
off. So
I don't think
maybe
that's gonna be this time. I think that's, like, a little bit
from
further in the
before, yeah, a
future.
bit weird. Yeah.
But yeah.
Um, what I find really weird is the fact that has anyone said anything about the photo Paul has up in the penthouse of him and
Wh
Therese? That they
where? Which
keep
one?
glancing. So literally
Oh, yeah, yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
on the shelf,
Oh,
they've
he does.
got
He
he's
has his
got and
family
I'm like,
one, and
does
then he
anyone
has that.
like Mel's come in, like loads of people kind of come through to speak to Paul up there, and has no one actually gone round and said,
Why have
"So
you still got a picture of you
why have
and
you still got a
you?"
picture? Are you actually trying to split them up?" Like, because that would so be in his vein, and
Yeah,
we
yeah,
know
yeah.
he's a little bit funny at the moment, with Therese, especially with the convincing comment. So yeah, I'm just kind of like, there was a glance to it, and I was like, okay,
I didn't even notice that until you
yeah,
said it then, and I thought about it, and I was
on
like, "Oh,
their
yeah, when
wedding
he."
day.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So obviously you've got the whole Holly has situation and him
Yeah,
getting very annoyed with her. She's
yeah,
very, very clingy, very
yeah.
like hanging around, and he just literally went off at her. And I was like, I wasn't expecting him to be like, "Oh yeah, I still want to see her." I thought he was just gonna be like, "No, no, she's too clingy, like get rid of her."
I think
But
he's probably having quite a fun time with her. I think she's a fun time gal. It sounds really bad to say that, but she is very vivacious. So, she's very different from Mac.
mm,
She's quite a risk taker,
yeah,
quite fun. So I think that's what attracts him to, because in a way Has is a bit on the boring side, isn't he? Like if you were to date him, he would, you know, be on the
out
boring
in the
side.
front
Not that
garden.
anything being boring is no, there's nothing wrong with being boring, but they're very different people. They're kind of opposites, and opposites do attract. But I think, someone commented on one of the groups about what the age gap is between them. So I think that might be a bit of an issue, because Has does seem a little bit older,
Hmm.
and more suited to Mac.
Yeah,
I feel like their relationship would be a lot more mature, whereas with Holly, he's just having a good time.
yeah,
So I don't see that lasting. I think he handled that really well. I think he enjoys her company, but look, I also need my space.
yeah.
Um, but that's kind of like the cracks that are showing. We're showing how incompatible they are.
Mm,
Um, so I think maybe that could be an affair, Mac and
true.
Has.
Yeah.
Although I
Would
don't
you
think.
really call it a fair though? Because they're not married, are they?
No, it's still an affair though if they're dating each other, and it's still an affair. Um, but to be honest, I don't think Mac's that kind of person, so
No,
she wouldn't let it happen.
no. So going on to this week, the protest. It's been a lot. So obviously Summer's come back, and she's interviewing all like the old castmates and stuff. And
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, apart from Richie and Michelle Scully, didn't really know
Well,
who
no,
any of
so
the
you've
others
got
were.
you've got one of the guys who's the teacher.
Oh, I did know him. Yeah,
Yeah,
I did know him.
so it was
But
those
like
three really.
Brett Stark and the other women, I was like, nah, you're before my time. Before I like started watching it. Like,
Yeah.
what I think one of them said she was in it, what, 90 from 91 to 93, I think she said, when she did a little thing
Yeah.
on
So that
the
was just
Neighbours
before.
Instagram, and I was
Yeah.
like, "I was born in '87, I definitely wasn't
Yeah.
watching it in
No.
'91."
Yeah. No.
So, yeah, so, that was nice, seeing obviously Summer coming back and doing a lot of that, and then, yeah, the protest obviously getting very,
Mm.
very out of hand, and Nicolette
Mhm.
realising, "What the fuck have I done?"
Yeah.
basically. What I thought was really interesting was obviously Wendy's involvement in it. Now
Yeah.
she's really,
Yeah.
really trying to push Andrew's buttons at the moment,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
and
loving it.
it's working. And I wrote down, actually, she's almost starting to become the new Sheila. Like, she's
She is.
getting
She is
herself
definitely.
involved in like every like little thing and trying to
Definitely.
just like wind people up. Yeah, and it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you think about like the whole protest? Because there was a lot going on. There was a lot of like Jane and Susan scenes with Therese and the whole friendship breakdown, and then obviously there was the uh Wendy and Andrew situation. Like, it was just a lot going on.
There was a lot going on, but I think for me the main part was the Nicolette, Sadie, and Wendy. I think
Mm-hmm.
that whole dynamic works really well. And, where we've seen Nicolette before be quite meddling, this was meddling, but in a positive sense.
Mm,
So it was almost as if, like, okay, well, I'm a bit annoying and I do like to wind situations up. You know what? I'm going to do it for some good.
yeah.
So that was really nice to see. Wendy, the same. Like you say, seeing more of the kind of Sheila aspect, because we're really missing someone that's like Sheila Canning. Um, I'm not sure if she's quite there yet.
No.
We need to see more from her, but
Yeah.
I feel like she needs to be stronger, because like Sheila is a really, really strong character.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's sad to see the rift between Andrew and Wendy. Um, but I don't blame Wendy for being that way. Um, yeah, no. I mean, I don't really have much to say about the protest. It was kind of a bit of a
Just a
mess.
lot, a
It
lot
was
going
it
on.
was
I suppose
chaotic.
I suppose the main takeaway from it is the fact that Mel gets injured.
Yeah.
Um Now, we were talking about this earlier. Talking of injuries, now, new chapter predictions last podcast.
Yep.
We said that Krista was the
Yeah.
first person to
Yeah.
stay in hospital after an accident. Now,
Yeah.
we deemed this as an accident. I mean, technically, none of us were right. We didn't win because it was a new person that we didn't even know about. But actually, the first person that ends up in hospital after an accident is Mel. So, are we scrapping our Krista answer? Or are we keeping our Mel one?
No, because no one got it right anyway.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter whether we say it's Krista or Mel. Um, no one got
And
it
I'm
right,
and I'm still winning, so it doesn't
and you're
matter.
still winning. So yeah, doesn't really
Anyway,
matter.
go back to the storyline. So Mel obviously falls, ends up in hospital. Toadie finds her, which I think is the start of him, like a almost like a light bulb moment, going,
Hmm.
"Oh my god!" And seeing Mel injured almost takes him back to that like protective, like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, this is the person that I loved." Like, it kind of starts from there, doesn't it? Um, and you, yeah, start to see a definite change in Toadie's behaviour.
Well, I'm just thinking back to the days of Dee and Andrea, and how the rift between him and Sonia during that time,
Mm,
um, and because the love of his life that he got married to years and years ago has come back. It's kind of not on the same level, not the same intensity, but it's kind of like that. Um, you've got he just can't resist old loves, and you know the difference between what happened before was that it's Sonia and Toadie. They were
mm,
strong as, but it brought them to breaking point, but they were strong.
yeah,
Therese and Toadie don't have that foundation. They
no,
don't have that foundation, and they will never have that foundation, I don't think.
mm,
It doesn't matter if they
mm,
were together for 10 years. Um, So I think this is easily breakable. He's already showing those signs of, yeah, the protective instinct coming out. He has this thing for protecting the needy, and especially when it's someone that he used to love. So to be honest, I feel like we're by the new year.
We're on a path to
Yeah,
them getting back
yeah,
together.
yeah.
And I think deep down Mel knows that because she's just trying, she'd be like, I don't want him here. Like he can't come
But
visit
this
me
is
in
why I find it
hospital.
so weird because Mel knew about all of the D stuff as well. And
Yeah.
she could easily manipulate the situation if she wanted, if she was that way inclined, if she was that kind of person. She could
Yeah.
easily get Toady back.
Yeah.
Easily. But
Yeah.
she's not that kind of person.
No.
Um, yeah.
I do like, however, though, that obviously when they found out that it was one of the security guards that Therese had hired, that gave Jane such good ammunition to go out there and be like, actually, no, you're the reason, and that obviously them kind of like being at loggerheads, and then it actually making Therese sit back and go, shit, I've hurt my friends, I've hurt the community, like, all this kind of stuff. And she's now obviously come to some sort of thing, being like, okay, let's make a compromise on having a smaller school and a smaller retirement community. Um, so, but surely, like, I know Therese being the boss lady, it it doesn't come as, it's not second nature to her to be thinking about others. She just gets on with it and gets the job done, doesn't she? So, um, yeah, but for the fact that someone's had to get hurt for her to kind of realize,
Yeah, I mean, she's used to fighting fires when she was in Lassiter's. Everything was fighting fires, and now she's causing the fire.
yeah,
So it's like she's having to navigate, okay, well, what am I doing in this situation? Um, yeah, it's a bit confusing.
yeah,
But last thing I think I'd like to
yeah.
mention is we've seen Carl return.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dad, you're back. It's so nice to see you. I mean, it's nice to see Mum, Jackie, Susan. But
Just
we've
to
seen her a few.
clarify that for all the listeners,
Yeah,
because obviously
yeah,
this is what you call Jackie.
yeah. Mum. Yeah, no, but seeing Dad, Carl, aka Alan Fletcher, return is actually really good because I know he's been really busy outside of all of this.
When is he
Um,
not?
well, he's been doing
Just
touring and all
he
of
just
that.
like basically lives in the UK most of the time, doesn't
Yeah.
he?
Although he's been doing touring on Australia, so
Okay.
that's what he's been up to. So yeah, no, it's nice to see him back. I think something that was mentioned, and I think we've mentioned it briefly before, and I have actually seen a lot on the groups that this past week that we're missing a comedy aspect.
So you
Um,
mentioned this last time.
yeah, and I just think I understand the drama. There's so many storylines, and they're trying to get started, but it's been a few months now. Um, the problem is that you've had Carl absent, you've had Toadie wrapped up in so much drama that who's going to be the comedic duo? I mean, you could have done maybe Wendy,
Yeah.
but then she's helping out with the protest, so and she's got the
But
whole stuff with Andrew. So yeah, I mean,
I think we're going quite down a serious route with Chloe now with that whole situation. But potentially there could have been that comedic value, like you've said before, with
mhm,
her character, and
mhm,
also actually Nicolette, because she
yeah,
actually, although she could be quite harsh, she can actually be quite funny as well.
yeah. I think I think
So
I think they've got some actors there that are really good with comedy,
yeah,
and we're missing that little sprinkle. The thing that sets Neighbours apart from other soaps is the comedy, because we can
yeah,
do drama just like all the other soaps, but it's the
yeah,
comedy that we're missing. And yes, okay, I keep putting it on Carl and Toady, but there are other people around that can give us that.
yeah,
And we know Aaron, even when he started, there was a bit of comedy there with the
yeah,
different, jobs that he had.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
there are people there that can do that for us. It's just I don't know why Amazon Freevee aren't using that. Maybe they've asked the writers to go more in a serious drama route as opposed to the comedy, but yeah, we're really missing that.
I don't know, and it's interesting, and it'd be interesting to get it from somebody else's perspective. Say like Topher, who we interviewed before,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
his perspective. Like,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
when we spoke to him before, we said, about the comedic value, and he
yeah,
was like, oh, like he only knows what he's seeing at the moment.
yeah,
But he's currently going back and again and watching the old episodes, so he's probably going to see a comparison. So it'd be
yeah,
interesting to see, like, his
yeah,
take on things like that. People, a new audience that necessarily
definitely,
don't know about it. But yeah, no, I agree.
definitely. We are now joined by a very special guest, Jordy Lucas, who plays none other than Summer Hoyland.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Welcome to Neighbours Unfinished Business. We can't tell you how excited we are to have you on our podcast.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you for having me.
So, Geordie, you're actually our first Neighbours star to join us in the hot seat.
Wow.
And we've got lots of questions lined up for you. So, let's get cracking. I'm just going to go to my questions. Bear with me 2 seconds. Okay, so the first question, obviously, in recent episodes, obviously, we first see you pop up in Harold's Cafe, bumping into Susan
Mhm.
Kennedy. So, obviously, how does it feel being back on set and working with the incredible Jackie Woodburn again?
It was very surreal being back there. Have said this to everyone. You walk into that building and it still smells the same as it did
Mhm.
10 years ago. It's very strange. Um, and it was just really special to be there again. And obviously, yeah, to work with Jackie again. It really did feel like going back home. Like it sounds very cheesy to say that, but that's how it
Mhm.
felt.
Yeah, amazing.
So did you notice any changes in the way that Neighbours runs now compared to when you left the show in 2013?
The way the studio works is a little different. It's a little it feels a little bit more smaller scale, perhaps less extras, less people running around. The location side of it, I mean, we were filming huge protest scenes, so that kind of
Mm.
felt the same. I mean, there obviously it's like the crew is really different as lots of new crew. I would say the studio felt smaller, but location felt pretty much the same.
Cool, amazing. So we're actually going to rewind a little bit now. So obviously, when Summer was a student
Mhm.
at Erinsborough High, there was obviously lots of ups and downs, and
Sorry,
obviously
my 4-year-old's
Krish.
coming in here.
Don't worry, that's fine. She can come say hi. Yeah. So Erinsborough High had lots of ups and downs with Chris,
Mhm.
Tash, and Andrew. So like, what was it like filming those sort of like turbulent scenes and the different sort of things that you had to go through with your relationships?
It was very I mean, we were living these crazy lives in real life. And sort of some of what was going on was kind of mirroring what was going on in real life. And,
Mm-hmm.
we were all so young. Can I
Mhm.
set you up with something? Want to do some coloring? Okay, sorry, 2 seconds.
Don't worry, don't worry,
Sorry about that.
don't worry.
Um, yeah, so I mean, it was such an amazing training ground. And uh, yeah, it was just an incredible place to kind of cut your teeth into these storylines and to grow as an actor and also a person. So it was honestly 3 of the best years of my life.
Oh, bless you.
Amazing. So in 2013, Summer started a romance with newspaper editor Bradley Fox. What was it
Mhm.
like portraying an age gap relationship? And in what ways do you think this changed Summer?
I was really lucky in that Aaron was just a fantastic actor, but also really respectful and always made sure that I was comfortable,
Hmm.
because I was only 20 at the
Mhm.
time as well. So it was quite daunting for me, but he was really wonderful in making sure that I felt comfortable all the time. We had acting coaches on set to make sure that everything was, I was comfortable. But it was really great as an actor to
Mm.
have that storyline because it does happen. Young girls do, and young guys. There is, age gap relationships happen all the time. So it was really interesting. I was really excited. I mean, the 3 years that I was on, it was pretty much just Summer and Andrew. And so all of a sudden I was getting a chance to work with someone different, create chemistry with someone different. So I loved it. I thought it was really great. I mean, it was all sad the whole way through because I knew that this was leading up to me leaving, but it was a great exercise in acting.
Yeah, definitely. So talking of you saying about you leaving then, obviously in the last scenes in 2013, obviously we see Summer leaves to go to Paris because she's offered the scholarship. So if Summer hadn't have left Erinsborough, what do you think that she would have been doing now?
I think she would be a journalist, definitely.
Okay.
I think she probably would have kept working at Erinsborough News, and definitely, probably the podcasting, what she's doing now. And I've said this in all my interviews that I have thought she would be a podcaster or a journalist, and I was right.
On the money, you knew.
Yeah. It should give me a job as a writer.
Yeah.
So in the most recent episodes, we see Summer as a successful radio broadcaster. Did the writers and producers use what you're doing in real life to influence Summer's character, or did you get a say in your character?
No, I had no idea until I opened the script and read it for myself. They contacted me really early in the year to see if I was available to go back for a little bit, and I obviously jumped at the chance and said yes. But up until about a week beforehand, I had no idea what she was doing, why she was going back. And so when I opened the script, I was like, oh my gosh, it's, very similar to what I'm doing now with the sort of podcasting space and everything. So yeah, it was nice to read that, but I have no idea, where their inspiration came from.
Amazing.
We'd love to have you back.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Come back full time. We love you.
I'd love that.
Obviously talking about the podcasting stuff, obviously you are the founder and editor of an incredibly successful website and podcast called It's All Her. Obviously it's a space that focuses on honest media for women, and obviously it says that your mission is for women to live simpler, better lives. So obviously tell us a bit about like that and how it's like impacted you and obviously other women's lives.
It's sort of evolved over the years. When I was living in America, I was studying journalism, and I had lots of friends that were actors that had these like side hustles while they were trying to make it as an actor. And it really started off as just a blog, really just to write about what they're doing. And I had a bit of a platform on social media from Neighbours. So it really started off as a little side project. And then when I came home to Australia, I realized that coming back here and doing a 9 to 5 was not going to be something that would fulfill me. So over the years, it's really evolved. And when I became a mum, I realized how difficult we make our own lives with the expectations that we place on ourselves, especially as working mums. And I thought, gosh, we really just need a space where we can share honestly how we're feeling, but also tips and tricks on how we make our lives easier. So little life hacks or things that you can have around the home that make things easier for us, just to create a bit more simplicity. So, and I think that really resonates with a lot of women, that sometimes it is us that's making our own lives harder in our own minds. So if we can find little tricks and tips along the way to just make things easier for ourselves, is really special and important. And I think that's why it's gained the traction that it has.
That's amazing. I mean, I work in childcare. I'm a preschool leader, and I see loads of mums like come through, and I think sometimes, like you say, they need somewhere like that, because you see some mums don't have that gel with other mums, and they, you know, you have sometimes a couple of mums are really tight and they go off and they do things together, but you get some mums who don't have anybody. And I really think it's really important for there to be spaces for them to be able to kind of go. I know it's obviously different because yours is based in Australia, but I don't know if there's anything equal here. I don't know if there's anything the same, but yeah, it's really nice to kind of see your kind of vision. I mean, we're both not parents, but obviously I see it working in childcare. It's really lovely to hear.
I'm sure you see a lot of overwhelmed mothers.
Yeah, and me at the end of the day, after looking after 40 children, I'm like, oh my god.
Oh my god, I struggle with one. I don't know how you would deal with 40.
I mean, we had the nativity today, and it's taken me 6 weeks to prepare for this nativity, and thank God it went off with a hitch. So yeah.
My
I mean,
Kinder isn't doing anything Christmas related. I'm so upset.
Really?
Yeah, it's really weird.
That's so bad. Oh, bless.
I
think
know.
we've actually run out of questions. I mean, we went through those really quickly. Do you have any more, Tash? Do you have any more, Tash, that you want to ask?
No, I mean, just tell us, like, because obviously we've got the listeners. Where's your website? Where can they listen to your podcast?
Yeah.
So you can find my personal Instagram at Jordy Lucas. So just search Jordy Lucas and I should pop up. But then we've got It's All Her Official is our Instagram, and then itsallher.com. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts by searching It's All Her.
Amazing.
Perfect. Do you have any questions, Lauren?
I don't. I was literally sat here thinking, oh my God, like we've got through those so quickly. What can I ask? I mean, we could ask you so many things about Neighbours, but I think we'd be here forever. Like, we've loved Neighbours since we were kids, and we never knew each other a couple of years ago. And I think, we met through a different fan base, and we've got to know each other sort of, and then realised that we both like Neighbours. So we've become very close because of it. So,
well, it's just so great that it's back. I'm just so pleased for them. It was, when I went back, it was just this, everyone was just so excited, and it felt like it had been like everyone had this new energy. And I think, not that anyone would have accused them of being complacent, but you have this show for so long, and you probably don't ever expect that it is going to be taken away from you, and then it was, and now they've got this new chance to have it back. And I think there's this energy of, let's make this the absolute best possible show that it can be. So it was really exciting to be
Had you continued to watch any of it after you left? Or any of like the new stuff since it's come back?
I mean, I grew up watching the show. I have memories of watching it with my mum when I was a little girl. So it's always held a really special place in my heart. And then I married a Brit who loved the show. So we have tuned
just sneaking in the background.
Trying to get her face on your podcast. And then I married a Brit, and he loved the show growing up. And it's actually funny how we met. We met on Bumble. I'm waffling now, but we met on Bumble.
Go for it.
He was at a work lunch with people that I used to work with, and they were talking about him being British and blah, blah, blah. And they said, oh, do you watch Neighbours? And he was like, yeah, I love Neighbours. And then they said, oh, we actually had a girl that was on Neighbours work here for a little bit, and they showed him my photo, and he was like, oh my God, I'm going out on a date with her. And he hadn't watched that time of me on the show, so he didn't realize. And then I think he got a bit excited that he was going to be on a date with someone that was on Neighbours, and told all of his mates. And
I love it. That's great.
He watched more of the Flick Scully era. That was his favorite. So that's a little funny story about him, and that's how this little one came to be, isn't it?
She's cute, bless her. She's like, I want to be on the podcast.
She is very cute. I know.
Bless her.
You weren't so fussed seeing Mummy on TV, were you?
No. Oh, bless her.
No, she wasn't too fussed.
Right, so I think we'll let you go.
Yeah, go look after your
Thank
child.
you so much.
No, honestly, thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, it's been, a pleasure to have you, and especially as the first Neighbours person to come and join us. So we are really excited to see, obviously, what you get up to, sort of like future projects and stuff. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks so much for your support.
No, of course,
definitely.
definitely.
Keep going.
Thanks. Thank you.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.